Hi guys. Look at the little one. We got a little one. There's a little one. What's up? Hi. All the dogs. All the dogs. What's up, Nugget? What's the matter? Pro tip, put the bolt back in your caliper so it holds it out of the way while you work on the other side, so there's no strain on your hose. I think that should just press and pull out. Like this should just pull apart, but it doesn't want to. So full of grime. There we go. Wow. So I was right. You push down on this guy or shove something way down in there like I had to do. But there it is. Come on, why are you fighting me? That's what happens when you don't compress the pistons all the way. Get on there, you. Huh. What? Oh my god, just crap out. Oh, well, that's sad news, Bears. Here's the lineup of sockets you're going to need. 21 mil for the wheels, 19 mil for the brake, 17 mil short and 17 mil deep for the hub. This swivel adapter made it really nice, and a 32 mil for the axle nut. These pliers came in handy as well as these guys for prying the electrical plug apart. And the extension for extra reach. Your hammer for knocking the hub off. And your torque wrench for tightening the wheel. Okay, let's get these brakes changed. We've got Rebestos to go in. Best in brakes. I've always had good luck with these guys. We were in here last week doing the bearings, so all of these should be nice and easy to get off. Okay, we're going to pull the slider bolts out here. Hopefully they're not too tight. I've got an electric ratchet. With any luck, I can just neutral drop it onto here. Nope. Oh, they're not that tight. Oh, good. And that's what we like to see. Nice and loose sliders. And there should be one more on the bottom here. Now it's nice and loose too. That means our sliders are not stuck. So we don't need to worry about... Nice, look at that. We don't need to worry about unseizing the slider pins. So that one's nice. That one's nice. There's one of two ways we can do this. We can leave this entirely sealed, or we can pop this rubber boot off and clean it. That's why we clean it. Okay, now we can pry the brakes out of here. To make this easy, we're just going to pull the caliper right off, caliper bracket right off. Those are a 19 millimeter. Now with the caliper off, the brake pads actually come out. Oh yeah, look at that. That one was... We have the culprit where they were worn out. Look how stuck that is. And just use my Milwaukee hammer here to pound it out. Okay, now you want to get these off. We're going to take a wire wheel and we're going to clean up these surfaces. Okay, the reason you want to make sure those are real clean is because these sit in there, sorry, like this, these will sit in there and the rust will actually push them out, which makes the brake pad hard to slide in here. And that's what you see me trying to knock it out. That's because of the rust here that I just all ground off. Now it's going to be nice and loose. I'll show you. Okay, here's our replacement. So quite often brake pads will come in kits with multiple styles of brakes. So we've got springs, we've got clips. So there's only one style, a clip in here, which is good. That means you don't have to figure out which ones came off, which ones go on. Sometimes these distances will be smaller or bigger, just depending on the fitment of the caliper. So these are nice and easy. These are all the same. So install these. Now you just want to make sure you get it nice and lined up and it'll fall right into place. Look at that. See, if I wouldn't have taken all the time trying to get the rust off of these, those don't slide on nicely. Now for those of you doing this for the first time, the easiest way to tell that you've got these on the right way is obviously they'll fit nicely, but the easiest way to tell is to leave the other side. So only do one brake side at a time. Do your right side and then your left side. Otherwise you're trusting yourself to remember how to go together. See, now I can take the other side apart and look at it to see that I've put it all back together. I've done this so many times I don't need to do that, but that's how I recommend. That's how I recommend to do it if you're new to this. So this one's not sitting perfectly tight on. Oh, I see why. So this is exactly what I was talking about. See, it's elevated there. So we're going to get grinding a little more on that. There we go. Okay, so this little tab, it's just not gripping as good as it should. So we're just going to give it a little bendy boo. There we go. So now, everything is held in place nicely. Second thing you want to do is take your brake lubricant and just squirt just a little bit of brake lubricant in these. It's just high temperature dielectric grease. This just allows the brake pads to slide in there. You're going to notice in your box of brake pads, one side's got a squealer on it, one side does not. So as your brake pads wear out, when it gets to this point, it'll start to scratch your disc and it'll make a bunch of noise, so you know when your brakes are worn out. So if you hear your brakes squealing, that's why. Here, pull the pins out of here. We're just going to give these a quick cleaning. Get all that nice black dirty schmutz off of here. And just a little squirt of our brake grease. That's what I'm using. Clean Flow, Easy Slide brake lubricant. I've been using this stuff for years. One of these lasts me months and months and months if I'm doing brakes every day, so you can't go wrong. And then it just slides back in here. I like to rotate it. Helps get the fresh lube spread around. And if you don't do that, I find these pins will just kind of push out on you and hold. So let's get this other side. Yeah, that one's got a little bit of schmutz in it. And you want to do these one at a time. See how this one's different? I'd have to talk to an engineer. I don't actually know why this top one has rubber in it and the other one did not, but I don't argue. That's how they are. Actually, if someone in the comments wants to tell me if they know, why is there a rubber tip to some sliders and not others? Same thing, we're going to rotate that in there. See how it's trying to push itself back out? Rotating, it gets the air out. And then just a nice push and rotate and the boot pops back on. Keep rotating it, and that will actually seal back up. Keep all the water and air from getting in there, wrecking your pads. Okay, we're going to bolt the caliper bracket. To the knuckle. I'm just going to leave that loose because I haven't done one of these in a while and I can't remember if you can get the brake pad in with it here or not. Okay, so there we have it. So the squealer fits nicely on the inside. So that's there. Now this one did have these little springs too, so we're going to try to put these on afterwards. So to get this, you just start off like this, set it in place where it needs to be, and just twist it in. My old one didn't have these springs, but that's okay. So what these springs do, okay, so that's definitely how those go. So those aren't going to touch. So what those do is just help spread the pads so that they don't rub on the rotor. A little bit of a fuel mileage thing. A little bit of a don't let your parts wear out thing. And getting the pistons slid back into place can be a challenge for a lot of people. So here I'll show you my trick. I take an old brake pad and I take a large clamp. Now you can get these clamps with squeeze triggers. I like those for brakes. This is what I have at home here, so this is what we're going to use. Thread this in. That'll grab the back, usually of the bolt there. You can also grab in a different spot. It's best if it's straight, so I usually try to grab on that bolt. Alright, now that it's on that, we can just slowly tighten this, and you can see the pistons. You can see the one piston retracting. Oh, do we have a stuck caliper? I hope not. Come on, second piston. There it goes. There it goes. Sometimes they can be sticky. clean that off because it looks like somebody's put something here on these, and we are going to as well. It's much smoother. Just don't want any chance of corrosion growing on there. So what we're going to do also, yeah, this side's smooth. We'll clean it off. Now remember, this is the surface that I'm cleaning here. The inside, this is the surface. This and this is what rides on your brake pads. So more dielectric grease is going to stop the rust and corrosion from occurring and squeezing your brakes. You don't need a lot. Just coat it on your finger and just go around. Okay, now it should just be as simple as sliding in place. We're going to put our slider bolts back in. Some people like to use Loctite on these. I don't have any reason against it. I don't have any reason for it. I've never had brakes come loose. If you torque them to spec, they're good. Torque to spec and a bit. Torque to spec and a bit. I like to go just really comfortably tight with them. Check it out, these stools are great. You just load all your stuff up onto them and you can go to the other side. Okay, that's a good sign that that came off easily. Now, to loosen these pistons, or to loosen these calipers when you get them half off like this, quite often they'll stick in here, and you can't pull them off like that. But what I do there, I don't know if you saw, what I do is put my one hand here to brace it, and then I'll pull up on the back side really hard, and that pushes the pistons in, so that you don't have to fight trying to get them out. Back to our 19 mil for our brake caliper mounts. There we go, for our brake caliper mounts. So see how this one was a little crusty too? We're definitely going to want to clean that one up. You can hear it. That one's not good, but because it's moving still, we can save it. A lot of the times they'll get so crusted up in here that you can't actually save it. And here, I'll pull this off and show you what it looks like inside. Yeah, so water got into this one. So this one's got our rubber on it as well. And that's what you don't want. So this one, because it's crusty, we're going to do a lot more to clean this one up. This top one's nice and loose. We're going to do just our basic cleanup on that one. But this bottom one, we're gonna clean that out properly, because we don't want that to seize up and wear my brakes out. Look at this pad. That's because, actually, you know what? That's not bad. This one's not worn out that much. They were due. That was tight. Oh. No, it's stuck. No, it's not. Get these brake pads out of here. There's our spring from before. Get our things off. There we go. So looking at this one, this side's not as bad as the other side. A little bit of corrosion. Not too bad. Okay, for our stuck friend here, that one's good. For our stuck friend here, we're going to give this a special treatment. So first is just brake clean. You just want to get that hole really clean, really. No better way to sell it than that. You're just going to use the pin. Just going to use the pin and brake clean, and you don't want to shove your pin in dirty, I guess. I gotta be careful with what I say on the internet. Someone could take that the wrong way. So I just like to work it back and forth a few times like that. Flush it out. And rinse and repeat until it's free and clear. Issues with these, you need them moving nice and smooth like that, so it's really worth taking your time. Otherwise, what you need to do is replace your caliper bracket. I live in an area where that's not possible without a long waiting period usually. So this is cool. I've got this air gun here and this rigid air tire pumper. I'll pump it well up over 100 psi. I forget what this thing's good for. It should say on it. 200 psi. Okay, we're not going to blow anything up. There's some pressure. There's some pressure. Wow. Okay. Oh. That's the only danger of playing with it too much. Gotta watch that rubber little guy doesn't mess around. We're just gonna pull him off for now. Now what we're gonna do is stick a little lube on it and see. We're getting there. The hole's getting cleaner. There's some gunk in the hole still I can see. Okay, I got a pick here. Let's see what's in this hole and get it out. Could just be more dirt. Could be a rock. Oh, there we go. Okay, there it is. Find a little piece in there. Cool. The hole's nice and empty. Now we just got to get our pin nice and clean. I'm going to see if this boot was going to come off. Nice. Cool. So now we can clean this up nicely. Don't get brake clean on your hands, it causes cancer. Same thing, you just want to make sure all the corrosion is out of these, because any bit of corrosion is going to come back. And if the corrosion comes back, it will quickly multiply. Doesn't give you much time at all. This was probably fine at the beginning of winter and just over winter. Just this little bit of corrosion in there. So this pin isn't in the best shape. I'll admit that. It's not perfect. What it is usable. One last piece to clean up, our little rubber guy. And reassembly. So the little rubber goes on the pin, lube goes on our pin. Now again, you don't want too much, because if you put too much in here, oh, the finger's dirty. If you put too much in here, it'll fight you on the pressure. It'll push it right back out. Okay, we've got our pin lubed up. We've got our hole nice and clean. We take a dab. Now we don't want too much. Just a healthy dab to start out with. We can always add more. Same thing. Just twist it in there nicely. And that'll help get the air out. That looks more logical. Okay, so that's on there. There we go. And again, with our little twisties, we get our boot on. Oops. Okay, so it's not going in far enough yet. And that's why you don't want to put too much grease, because that'll just fight you. There we go. And nice and smooth. There we go. That's what we wanted. Clean this guy up. Lube him. He doesn't need all the fancy treatment. Just dry him off. A little squirt of grease. And back into the caliper. And same thing, just spin it on the way in. And the boot's going to grab hold. And there you go. I'll get our metal clips in. Clip one went in nicely. Clip two also nicely. Get our caliper bracket mounted. Just want to make sure they're threaded in by hand before you rattle them on with the gun. Slide our pads in. Now remember, squeaker on the inside. So pad on the bottom. Okay, now our springies. This one only had one in it, but they gave me enough springs for all four, so. Oops. Well, that's the purpose of the springs. Okay, everything stays, we're good. I'm gonna put an old pad in here. And step 3. We're gonna squish it down. Okay, I'm doing it unevenly here to see if it'll work. It usually does just fine. Yeah, look at that. Just go nice and slow. Now this method will not work on newer vehicles with ABS because their computers won't allow you to push everything back. This is an older vehicle with ABS and the computers don't really care as much. Clean up our surface area. Take our dab of lube and lube up these surfaces. Now again, that just stops the corrosion from grabbing hold of the metal and pushing your brakes together. We'll slide our caliper back on. There, that's what we want. Everything slides around nicely. Okay, now we're going to torque the wheels. 98 foot-pounds is what they call for. Okay, now inside the vehicle, before you do anything, you're going to pump that brake pedal until it gets hard. Because if you don't, what will happen is you'll put your car in gear, you'll take off, and you won't be able to stop. There. See how the pedal doesn't move anymore? Now we're good to start my car. Put it in gear. And we have brakes. So I just want to talk about the tools I use for that job pretty quick. So the big impact and the electric ratchet you can obviously get away without. The air compressor to fill this guy's also not necessary. As well as this guy's not necessary. What you can do is just buy brake clean in regular squirt cans. I don't have any because I go through a lot of brake clean. Anyways, you got a 21 mil for the wheels, 19 mil for the caliper bracket, 14 mil for the slider pin bolts. You're going to need brake slider grease. A wire wheel comes greatly in hand, as well as a drill for cleaning up any rust. And your torque wrench, you don't need a snap-on torque wrench. You can get away with Mastercraft, Craftsman, any of the cheaper knockoff brands. I don't know what you guys got down in the States. I know what I got up in Canada, and they work. And then we have our C-clamp for pushing our pistons back in. And of course we have our trusty floor jack for getting it up in the air. These brake pads are the worst. It's got cracks in it. Nice and thin. There's nothing left of this pad. this shouldn't be on the road, which is why we're changing it. This was found in inspection when we have the wheel bearing, replaced. So, and this one's also cracked up. So what happens is it'll wear through the wear lines, and from the bottom of that it's weak, so it'll just crack. But when you're past the wear lines, they need to be done anyways. These ones are just past the wear lines, so no complaints on these pads. These were fine, but that's what happens when the sliders get stuck. Okay, we're just changing this light bulb. This blinker doesn't work. So you see it's clicking real fast there. That's a good indicator that your signals are out. You can hear it clicking, you can't see it flashing. But when it goes super quick like that, that usually tells you got a bulb burnt out. So the signal's this one here. So we're just going to twist the connector out. I've already got the bulb out from last weekend. We're just going to peel into these. We only do one at a time, so we can be very careful. Look at that, we can expose one at a time and then the other one can stay in its package all safe. There we go. Should only plug in one way. Sorry, it should plug in either way. Then we're just going to put it back in its home up in there. That's all there is to that. Now we'll try it out. There. And you can hear and see that it's slowed right down to where it should be, so. Okay, let's go test out these brakes. On the brakes, there's no wiggling in the steering wheel, there's no wiggling in the car. Response time is nice, we're good. Nice fresh brakes. I like to make sure I do all my own work on my brakes because I just don't trust any mechanics around here. I would hate for me to bring my mom's car in and have an issue and then she crashes because of their stupidity. Mind you, it could always happen because of my stupidity, but I take extra care and attention working on anything, so. And here we are, home sweet home. What do we have here? There's Louise. You'll be seeing lots of her. She's gonna be in lots of videos coming up here, I hope. I might do a how will it run on that thing too. I got a lot of will it run videos to do. If you guys like those, let me know. Oh, there it is. That's how to change brakes on a 2010 Nissan Pathfinder. This has the 4-liter in it, if that makes a difference to you. And that's front brakes. But pretty straightforward, nothing complicated, no reason anyone couldn't tackle this themselves with basic hand tools.